Now once we are done with creating the function, we have created the complete logic of this update function. We have just written the SQL query so that we can update the data in the database. Okay, now once we are done with this, now inside script.js, whenever I click on this update button, okay, this edit button, now when I click on this, you can see this model is getting opened, but I want all the values should be filled by itself, and whenever I click on this submit button, the values should be updated in the database as well as inside my website. Now here I'll just close this one. Now whenever I click on this, you can see this update, whatever data I'm having inside this, that is been displayed. And whenever I change this one, now suppose if I just write here Suresh 1 2, I'll just click on submit, you can see the data is been updated, and here I'm getting this message. Okay, I want this kind of thing to happen. So for that, inside script.js, whenever I click on that edit button, only then it is going to perform all this action. Inside this document, whenever my document is ready, we have already created for adding. Okay, whenever I click on submit button, I have already done this adding. Then we have done for the pagination. Whenever I click on pagination, I should be redirected from one page to another pages. Okay, now here below this, I'm just going to create on-click function. On-click event for editing. Okay, you can give any comment here for your understanding. Now inside this, I'm just going to create the document again, document dot, and here inside this, whenever I click on that edit button, okay, for edit button, let me just come up. Now you can see for editing, for this editing, I have just given the class as edit user. I'm just going to copy this, and here inside this, I'm just going to paste that one. Okay, inside anchor tag, I'm just having that class. I'm just accessing that anchor tag, and from that I'm just accessing that edit class. Now next, we just have to write the function. Now here I'm not resetting any form, so I'm not passing any event object inside this one. Now inside this form, let me just create one variable UID, and inside this I just want to get the ID of that particular data whenever I click. Now here I'll be writing this, okay, from this particular data, and inside this I'm just going to pass the ID field. Okay, whatever I'm having inside the database, I'm just passing that one. Now if I just write here alert, I'll just come here, I'll refresh this one. Now whenever I click on this, I should be getting alert, then I should be getting this model. Okay, again I am facing the same issue. Okay, I am not having any error inside my code. Okay, it is completely fine, but it's still not working. So for that, again I'm just going to do the same thing. Okay, with the solution whatever I have done previously, I'm just going to copy this one, and here I'm just going to paste it. I'm just going to paste this file. Okay, this happens, I don't know why it is happening, but if you are facing this issue, you can also do the same thing. I'm just going to change it to 2. Okay, you can give any file name. I'll just open this one, and this one I'm just going to close. Okay, it is not working, so I'm just going to close that one. I'll just open this with code. Now here I'm just going to perform all the actions. Maybe this is happening because the data is stored in the cache and it is not able to process that one. I don't know exactly what it is happening. Okay, but even if you are facing the same issue, you can just change the folder name, and you just have to come to script.js. Okay, before also I have told you about this. Now here wherever I am having this one, let me just come down. Okay, this entire exactly the same code, I have just changed the folder name, nothing else. Now here wherever I have given this PHP 1, I'm just going to give here 2. Again here also I'm just going to give here 2, not here. Let me just come up. Here also I'll just give here 2. I'll just save this one. I'll come to index.php. I'll just copy this path. Now here I'm just going to paste that path, and from here I'll just remove this. I'll be writing here localhost. I'll enter. Okay, now you can see here I am getting this alert because only for checking purpose I have just done here inside script.js. Whenever my document is getting loaded, I have just passed here alert. Let me just write here 1. Okay, now it is working completely fine. Okay, that it is not working, I have no idea why it is happening. If you are finding any solution for this one, let me also know this. I'll just click on OK. Now entire data is been displayed. Now when I click on this edit button, you can see that particular ID of this data is been displayed, that is 9, and also this alert box is displayed. Now when I click on this OK, after that I will be getting this model. Okay, even you should be getting this output. Once you click on this edit button, first I should be getting the alert message, then I should be getting this model. Okay, so that we will get to know whether it is working or not. Now I'm just going to come to insert, and from here I'm just going to copy this entire AJAX code. I'll just copy this one, and here I'm just going to paste. Okay, we are going to perform some changes now. Now inside this I have just passed the URL. Okay, I have already changed the folder name, PHP advanced to type, it is get, data type is JSON, and data I just want to pass the ID, and inside this ID I just have to pass this UID. Whatever ID I am getting inside alert message, I just want to pass that one, and action I am just going to give here edit users data. Okay, this we are just going to create inside AJAX. Now inside this I am having this before send, and from success I am just going to remove this entire if I don't need that one. Okay, rest everything will be same. Okay, inside this I have just passed, I am just accessing that one, and whenever I click on this I will be getting this ID. Okay, let me just see whether it is working or not. I'll just refresh this. Okay, let me just remove this alert from here. Whenever my document is getting loaded, I don't want this one. I'll refresh this. Okay, now I am having this data. Now when I click on this, I am getting this 9. Okay, and also I am getting this model. Okay, we are going to fill this one, don't worry. I'll just close this. Again, when I click on this, you can see that particular data's ID will be displayed here. Okay, this ID I am just accessing, I am just passing inside this data. Okay, now once I get this action, I have to perform this action inside ajax.php. Now here I am just going to come inside ajax.php. Now below this function, okay, we have written get all users. Now below this, I am just going to write here action to perform editing. Below this, I am just going to write that one if my action, if it is equal to whatever I have copied from that, okay, whatever I have copied from here, okay, you can pass any action, and the same action you have to pass here. If it is equal to that one, let me just come here. I'll just come to add users, and from here I'm just going to copy this entire thing, and here I'll be pasting that one. Okay, whether the ID is empty or not, and this ID whatever we have given inside form.php, we have already created 2 input fields. Let me just come down, and inside this I am having this one. Okay, user ID, you can see here I am having this, I just have to access that one, and here inside this I am just pasting that one, and here also I am just pasting that one. Okay, user ID I have just accessed. If it is not empty, whatever ID I am having inside that input fields, I will be getting that one, or else I am just displaying it as empty. Now below this I am just going to check the condition here. If not empty, okay, once I get my user ID, if it is not empty, suppose here, okay, the condition is true, and here I am getting this data, and that data will be stored inside this variable. I'll just paste that one here. If it is not empty, I just have to call this function. Let me just come here top, and from here I am just going to copy this one. I'll just copy this entire thing. Okay, this entire 3 lines I am just going to copy, and here I am just going to paste that one. Okay, I am just calling this getRow function, and here I have created this one. Okay, you can give any variable name here. Let me just write here user. I'll copy this, and here I am just going to paste. Okay, I am just going to get the rows. Okay, I am just calling this getRows function, which is going to display me the data. Now inside this I am just going to convert that into JSON format, and here I am just exiting the code. Okay, this is how we are going to perform this edit function. First we are just checking whether the ID, whenever I click on that, whether it is empty or not. If it is empty, I am just leaving it as blank. If it is not empty, I am just accessing that one. Again, I am just checking the condition if my ID is empty or not. If it is not empty, I'll just come inside this one, and here I am just calling this getRow function, from which ID, which data I have to access. Then whatever data I'll be getting in the array format, so I'm just converting into JSON, and here I am just exiting from here. And now here inside this, let me just refresh this one. Now whenever I click on this, okay, I'm getting this alert message, and also if I just inspect this one inside my console, okay, here you can see here I'm getting this one, oops, something went wrong, which means that we are having some error. Okay, now here inside this I just have to write here get. Okay, using get method we are just accessing, so we just have to write here get. And also from here I just have to get the ID. Okay, from the database I just have to get the ID. So not user ID, I just have to get the ID. So here I am just passing that ID. Let me just refresh this. Now whenever I click on this edit button, Okay, you can see whichever data I have clicked, that data is been displayed to me. Okay, the 9 data is been displayed. Let me just close this one. Again, when I click on this, okay, the 6th data should be displayed. You can see the 6th data is been displayed. Okay, we are just getting the ID from the database. Sorry for that, I just copied from here. So whatever data I was having, I have just displayed that one. Okay, from here we are just accessing the user ID, but from here, okay, whenever we are accessing, we just have to access the ID. Okay, whatever we are having inside the database, only then we will be able to match the data from the database. Now inside user.php, we have already returned that one. Inside partials, inside user.php, we have already written this query. Here let me just come down for update. Here we have already written, whenever my ID is equal to the database ID, only then it is going to update. So here also I should be passing that one. Whenever I am getting the ID from the database, only then I have to access this one. I have to get the rows and I have to display that particular data. Okay, only then it is going to perform. And also if we just come to network tab, now here inside this, you can see here I am having this request. Now when I click on this request, all the entire data related to that field will be displayed to me. Let me just open this. Okay, it's not okay. Here you can see here I am having this one, ID is equal to 6. Inside this preview, all the data related to that one will be displayed. And also inside headers, you can see method is equal to get and status code is 200, which means that I don't have any error. Now inside this, everything will be displayed, and response, you can see what response I got. Okay, this entire thing will be displayed. Okay, you should be aware of this network tab. Inside this you will be finding many things. Okay, and you should be knowing as a developer, okay, what all we can find inside this network tab. Entire response has been displayed. Now if I just come to this Suresh, I'll just click on this edit button. Okay, now you can see below this I'm having another request. I'll just click on this, and inside this you can see entire Suresh data will be displayed to me. And inside response also I'm getting this Suresh data. Okay, this is how we are going to perform, and we are going to check the output inside the network tab. Let me just close this network tab. Okay, now whenever I click on this, all the values should be filled by itself. So for that, inside script.js, whenever we are getting the response, okay, I just have to access all the values. So here I'm just checking the condition. If my rows, okay, if I'm successfully getting all the rows, I'll just paste that one here. Now inside this, I'm just going to access all the values. Here I'll be writing user ID, okay, sorry, username, okay, because this is the input field, and from that I am just accessing the value. And inside this, I'll just copy this one, and here I'm just going to paste, and from here I just want to access the name field, okay, whatever I'm having. Again in the same way, for this I'm just going to write here email. Okay, this I'm writing because inside form.php, whenever we created this input fields, you can see here inside this input fields we have given this name attribute, and also we have passed this ID attribute. Okay, so I'm just accessing the name attribute, whatever you have given here. Now next is mobile, and finally for user ID, I just have to access user ID is nothing but whatever I have given here. I'll just copy this one, and here inside this I'm just going to paste that one. Then here name, then here I'll be writing email. Okay, this values on left side, that is from the input fields name attribute, and this values whatever I am writing here, that should be matching with the database column name. Now here I'll be writing mobile, and finally here I'll be writing ID. Okay, in database I have ID, I don't have user ID. Inside database, inside tables, let me just come to that table. Inside user table I'm having ID, I'm not having user ID, I'm having ID. So I'm just passing here ID. Okay, whatever I'm having inside the database, I'm just passing that one here. I'll just save this one. I'll come to project, I'll refresh this. Now whenever I click on this, I'll be removing this one. You can see all the fields is been displayed to me. Okay, in the same way, if I just click on this, you can see all the fields related to that will be displayed to me. Let me just close this. Now here inside this, let me first remove that one. Okay, I'll be removing this alert. I'll just comment this alert from here, so that whenever I click, I don't want any alert message should be displayed. Now whenever I click on this, directly the model is getting opened. All the fields related to that one is been displayed to me. Okay, now here what happens, I am not calling, okay, I have still not called this update function. Whatever I have created inside user.php, I have not called it. Okay, so now what happens? Now whenever I click on this add new user button, and here if I just write here 1 2 submit, now you can see the new data is getting inserted. Okay, it is not understanding whether we have to update or whether we have to add. Directly it is inserting the data inside the database. Okay, now the problem is I have just created the same model for adding the users as well as for updating the users. Now how we will get to know whether we have to update or whether we have to add the data? Okay, the solution is using the ID numbers. Whenever I click on this, we have already seen inside alert message we were getting one ID number. Okay, using that ID number, now we are going to check the condition. If the ID number is present, then I have to update the data. If the ID number is not present, then I have to add the data. Okay, so for that, inside ajax.php, now here we have already done. Okay, we have done for adding the function here. Now here I will be just checking the condition. If my user ID, okay, whatever I have given here, this player ID, I am just going to copy this, not here. You can see we have already checked this one. I have just passed this. If my player ID, if it is there, if my player ID is present, then I have to update that one. So here I am just going to call the update function. Now inside user.php, I have just created that one, update. I'll copy this. And here I am just going to paste, and inside this I just have to pass the two parameters. First is the data, okay, whatever data I am inserting, first parameter, and in which field I am just inserting. I am just inserting in this ID field, okay, whatever ID I am getting, I am just inserting in this ID field. Okay, whenever my player ID is present, then I have to update that one, else I just have to add that one. I'll just copy this, and here I am just going to paste. I'll just refresh once. Now here I am having this data. Now when I click on this edit button, now let me just add one image here. I'll just add this book, submit. Okay, now you can see again the data is getting inserted, which means that, let me just come here. Now here you can see here this ID, whatever I have given here inside form.php, I am having this user ID. Okay, this I is in capital letter. So here I am just going to paste that one. I am just going to access that one, and here I have just pasted that. I'll refresh this. Now again I am just going to edit this one. Now here I'll be adding one image. Let me just check whether it is getting added or whether it is getting updated. I'll just open, submit. Okay, now you can see the image has been updated, which means that now the data is getting updated. You just have to check whenever I click on the button, if ID is present inside the database, then I have to update. If ID is not present inside the database, then I have to add the data. Now again, if I just click on this, and here let me just change it to Ramesh. Inside this I will be adding here Ramesh, and here let me just change it to 1. Choose file. I'll be selecting this browsers, submit. Now you can see all the data related to that one is been updated. Now here spelling is wrong. Again I can update. I'll just come here. I can just change it to Ramesh. Submit. Now you can see the spelling has been changed. Okay, this is how we are going to perform this edit option. Now let me just revise whatever we have done till now. Now inside script.js, we have just created this one, okay, on click event. Whenever I click on this edit button, I have to perform all this action. Before that, I just have to get the ID of that particular user. Once I get the ID, now inside this Ajax, I'm just passing this URL. Then type, I have just passed this get data type JSON, and here everything I am just passing inside this data. I'm just accessing the ID, whatever I have got from here. Then I'm just passing this action. Now before send, okay, this will wait unless and until my data is fetched from the database. Now inside this, whenever I get this response, I just have to access all the values from the database, and I have to display the data inside the form. Now here if I have some error, this error should be displayed to me. Now here I have just passed this action. Now inside ajax.php, here I am just writing that action. If my action is equal to edit user, then here I am just creating this player ID. Inside this, I am just going to access the ID which is present inside the database. If the ID is not empty, then I am just assigning the ID, or else I am just leaving it as empty. Then below that I'm just taking the condition. If my ID is not empty, I will just come inside this one. I'll call this getRow function because I have to display the data. Once after updating, I should display the data as well. So I'm just getting this row function, and from this ID field, which data I have to display, I'm just displaying that data. Then whatever data I'm having, that will be in the array format. I'm just converting into JSON, and here I'm exiting. Okay, now whatever ID you have given here inside form.php, inside this name and attribute, whatever you have given here, you have to use the same letters. Okay, this is case sensitive, so you should take care on that. You should not write like user ID, because I wrote user ID, it was not working. Now I have changed and that is working now. Now here I am just checking the condition. If I am having the player ID, whenever I click on update button, if I am having any ID, only then I have to update. If I am not having any ID, then I have to add the users like this. Okay, I am just adding the user. Okay, this is how we are going to perform. Now if I just click on add new user, you can see here I am having this empty form. Now when I add new user here, let me add here Suresh. Submit. Now you can see the new user is been added. Suresh is been added now. Now when I click on Suresh, and here I'll just write here 1 2 1 1 1, and here I'll be writing 1 2 1 2. Choose file. Okay, file, let it be the same thing. I'll just click on submit. Now you can see the Suresh data has been updated. We can change the image as well. This is how we are going to perform edit function. Now once we are done with this, now we are left with this profiling, we are left with this deleting, and we are left with search. Okay, now we will be working on this delete, then later on we will be working on this viewing profile.